Welcome everyone. Today we discuss about climate change, how and why the climate is changing. Introduction to climate science and climate change, cause of climate intensification, flood, droughts and cyclones, impact of climate change of the people and the environment. Introduction to climate change, impact sea level rise, climate change and water resources, climate change and food security, climate change and human health, climate change and terrestrial ecosystem, response and adaptations to climate change and forest management, climate change and water resource response and adaptation, principle and practice of the climate vulnerability assessment, uncertainties in the climate change and ecosystem service, effective communication in climate change. Acknowledge means we are observing and learning outcome. At the end of the session, the student will be able to distinguish climate from weather, describe the components of the climate system, explain how the component have changed, explain the difference between climate vulnerability and climate change. Exercise, what do you know? Things you know about the topic, things you want to learn, question you want to ask. Why is to study climate change? Determine the type and location of the human management ecosystem such as agricultural farmlands, affect the weathering of the rocket and the type of soil that forms and the rate of soil formation affect people and society, helps to determine the quantity and the quality of the water available for the human use, determine the severity of the drought, storm and flood, largely determine the nature and the location of the biomes, major terrestrial ecosystem defined based on the plant communities. How does climate affect Bangladesh? Biomass of the world depends on climate. Biomass of the world a function of the climate. Weather is Bangladesh. Weather versus climate. What is weather? What is climate? Are they same? How are they related? How can they be confused? Climate versus weather, the actual state of the atmosphere in a period of the several hours up to a few days. Climate is statistical description in terms of the man and variability of the related quarantine and over a period sanctioned from the month of thousand of the millions of the year. The classes of the periods 30 years, which are most of the source available such as temperature perceptions, wind, climate in a wide sense in states, inclusive statistical description of the climate system. Characteristics of weather and the climate: temperature, wind, cloud, perception, humidity, and storm. Study of the weather, the field of atmosphere science, which is most well known and the practical importance to the Bengal public in meteorology, the study of weather. Meteorology is a useful concern only with the lowest region of the atmosphere, that tropospheres. Weather is influenced not only by virtual duration and seasonal variation of atmosphere density and temperatures of solar heatings, but also by horizontal variations over Earth's surface. Atmosphere, winds, and circumstances are influenced by Earth relations by the surface condition. The adventure of the weather monitoring satellites or supercomputers have greater facility the social adaptations of uh, meteorology in recent years. Climate, the study of weather statistics, pattern, and trend. Climatology, the study of the climate different from the meteorology in the climate in the long-term pattern of temperature perception, wind patterns at a particular location over period of a year or more, whereas in the currents, for example, the climate is Antarctica is quite different from the Sahara Desert on the or the Amazon River basin. The way the two are also quite different from each other, despite being at nearly the same latitudes on Earth. Climate can, however, change over a long period of times, and the topic of climate change is currently practical importance because of known or potential effect of the human activities on the local, regional, or even worldwide climate. Climate is always changing, always had 1000 years time scales, 1000 years scales, even like the little icebergs and middle warm level. There are different weathers and different changes we are observing, and which diagram is closest the shape of Earth orbit. Animations of the Earth orbit. 100,000 year time scales. We are observing many interesting things actually happening. Global surface temperatures, which graph base shows the overall changes is output of the sun energy in the last 30 years. Solar energy output over time, 100 to 10 years time scale. Energy from the sun. The output of energy from the sun has been monitored by satellite by 30 years and has not increased during the period of rapid global warming. Characteristics of the climate. Climate is affected by a combination of factors from three different types: solar system, earth system, and earth dynamics. Solar system. The Earth solar system have an impact of the Earth system composed of the five components: atmosphere, hydrospheres, biosphere, geospheres, cryospheres. Earth system: atmosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, geospheres, and cryosphere. How does the climate system works? Classics list of two important things we have learned from this video. Individual word, things of 3 to 5 situations where weather has influenced your life, your plan. Write this down, then describe its influence to your daily life. Discuss with one's student and to class. Global energy flow, dynamics, atmospheric circulation, ocean circulation, land surface process, vegetation, carbon cycle, snow and ice. Atmosphere circulation, what is atmosphere circulation? What is correlative effect? Atmosphere circulation, the atmosphere conversions play to convey heat from the warm equatorial region to a cold polar region. Warm air rises near the equatorial latitudes. General atmosphere circulation, Corlick effect, atmosphere circulations, many important and very effective things. Ocean circulation, the ocean play a large part of the determine the existing climate of the earth. It seems to have a circular influence of the climate change due to human activities. Ocean and atmosphere are close interface and have a strong system. Ocean have high capacity of to contain heat compared with the atmosphere, driving to the gradually rise temperature in the oceans. Ocean redistributed heat of the throughout the climate system through the internet circular. Carbon only affect climate change when the atmosphere gases move to the Earth surface: atmosphere, biosphere, lithospheres, hydrospheres, snow and ice. These are the different kind of aspects actually happening for the climate change. So if we focus on what is climate variability refer to variability. It means state and other statistics of the climate of all temperatures and special scale beyond that original weather event. Variability may be due to natural internal process within the climate system or to variations in natural or anthropological external factors. What are the primary indicators of the climate change? Let the staff work in group, they can grow. The indicators they can list. The indicator lets them present the result and discuss amongst themselves. These are the different kind of aspects we are observing, and if we can raising in a professional way, then we can get more good result. So this is very important for climate change, and if we can focus these climate change issues, then we can solve many of the problem around the world. Thank you. If you have any kind of questions, you directly can communicate with me. Thank you. Bye bye and take care.